studio guest today is Gedge, and she is one of the founding members of Dental Mavericks. And they're described as a group that are adventurous, outgoing, and they're entrepreneurs connected to dentistry, whose aim is to give back. And since 2010, they've been carrying out dentistry projects in Morocco, and it's concerning the children of Morocco. And this year, little bit, I think it's about a month ago, they did a very special cycle Sahara, and this was to raise money for this very worthy cause. And I'm just pleased to welcome Gedge to the programme. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, we're going to find out about how that was, the cycle Sahara. I'm sure it was a bit of a culture shock.
It was, yes.
And we'll find out how much you raised for them. But I think people will be wanting to know what Dental Mavericks is and how it all came about.
Yeah, Dental Mavericks has been running since 2010. And myself and my husband Tony, we have a marketing company which we work with private dentists. And our mission statement is purpose, progress and profit. And part of the purpose side is that we wanted to give back and work with our clients and use the resources to help people who didn't have access to dentistry. And because Morocco is so near to us in terms of geography, we'd gone over there with a friend of ours called Domin, and he introduced us to a small fishing village in El Jabbar. And we realised that the children of that fishing village didn't have any access to dentistry, and that daily they were having daily dental pain just through not having that access and not being able to have education in oral hygiene. So that's really where it was born.
Well, can you imagine putting up with daily pain from your teeth?
No, and
people, it's awful.
It's, you know, on a list of medical things, people obviously, if you had toothache, you know how painful it can be.
Yes, yeah.
And some of the children that the dentists have looked at have had abscesses and need extractions, and you know, it's all down to obviously education, of course. Yes, but if we can at least start to relieve that pain to start off with, then the education process starts in terms of oral hygiene as well.
Yeah, and there's quite a few dentists that are involved with this, with Dental Mavericks. There's about 15, isn't there?
Yes, on our first trip, there was 7 of us went across in 2010, and we're about to go back in September of this year, and we're up to nearly 20 Mavericks now. Oh, and for the first time this year, we've had the same amount of dental nurses as we do dentists, because dental nurses, it's more expensive for them to come on the trip. But also, you know, in terms of support, it makes it, we can look after more children and see more children because of the support that the nurses give.
Okay. Now, earlier this year, you did Cycle Sahara.
Yeah.
And I believe it was 5 days of cycling and 250 kilometres.
Yes.
Tell us about that trip.
Okay, well, we decided we've got some amazing people involved in the organisation who really go out that extra mile to raise money for Mavericks. It's just got registered as a charity last year. But myself and Tony, 2 years ago at Christmas Day, wanted to put together a fundraising from the Mavericks themselves as a group. So we decided that we wanted to do something extreme. I'm not a cyclist, but my husband is. So we thought, right, let's cycle the Sahara bizarrely, randomly. And we asked the Mavericks, and because Mavericks obviously means that, you know, we're out there and we're adventurous, is that we never often get a no from our friends and our Maverick family. So 7 of us went across to do the cycle, and we raised €7,000.
That's excellent.
Yeah. And it was brilliant, amazing people, amazing scenery, and just a real adventure.
I would think it was something very difficult to organise as well, because you've got to have the guides, haven't you, as well?
Yeah, we're really lucky in terms of we work with a guy called Domin who's introduced us to a local business in Marbella called Adventure Bug. A guy called Matt Butler who runs that. He this time did all the logistics and the organisation. Really professional outfit, and also when we went out there, you know, people were worried about what would the bikes be like, and they were you know, Cannons, which I don't know much about bikes, but apparently they're a really good make. We had a mechanic with us, we had a car with us. The trip was, you know, sorted out from start to finish. We went out on camels in the Sahara Desert for 2 nights and slept with the nomads and had campfires, and a really amazing experience. So we're really lucky now that we've been working there. We've got some good connections and help from really great businesses.
And to remember as well, the cycling wasn't on flat
No, no, it was some of it was in sand, which people said I was cycling in sand. But
that's what I was thinking.
It's a really difficult technique, but you sort of learn it fast because otherwise you get left behind.
Is it sort of like to the side and the side?
Yeah, it's a little. You sort of it's like it reminded me of driving in snow.
Okay.
You know, when you drive, you sort of have to give it a tilt. But I've not done that for a long time.
Yeah.
So a little bit like driving in snow, and also really rocky terrain as well. Quite dangerous. My husband fell off twice. But I said he was showing off, but anyway, because he can cycle. But yeah, it really, really difficult conditions, and the heat, obviously, over 40, it's mental.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I'm sure the viewers have been wondering what it is that you've got in front of you.
Yes, yeah. So I brought with me, again, I need a nomad to put this on properly, but this is a nomadic scarf which we all wore throughout the trip.
Yes.
And it kept, unbelievably, because it keeps the heat off the back of your neck, but also the sand off your face, and it's wrapped around your head and across your face, so you've just got your eyes coming out. And it's a really nice colour as well. It's a beautiful colour. So these are worn by the Berbers and yeah, as I said, the nomads in the desert as well, so all the time.
Yeah, practical.
Yeah. Very practical, yes.
What was, when you were cycling, what was the worst moment for you?
I think the worst moment was the first day, and I swore a lot on the first day, and because I didn't prepare properly, even though I did a lot of cross training. I'm not, like I said, I haven't really cycled much before since I was a child, and as the trip loomed, I thought I'll be okay. But on the first day we did 5 hours, and it was very mountainous, so that felt like the worst time. And also the thirst, because of the heat, you're constantly dehydrated, so you constantly feel thirsty. But because there was quite a big group of us, also I spent a lot of time on my own, because I wasn't in the fast group, but I was sort of in the middle, which was quite nice for a while. But there was that sort of feeling of, oh God, this is on your own. I'm on my own, and is this going to be like this all week? And God, this is difficult. Oh my God, what am I doing? But then once I'd gone through that awful pain and that awful sort of tiredness, I was really like ready for it then. It was a brilliant feeling.
So what was the best moment then? The
best moment was easy. It was going out into the desert in the camels, and it was sleeping with the nomads, we did drumming.
I thought you might have said that.
Yeah, and singing and dancing, and also there were a bucket over the head for the shower, and that was just amazing. It was, and the sky and the dunes. Yeah. I mean, if anyone wants to look on our Facebook Dental Mavericks site, Michael Oliver, who was our photographer, has taken some amazing pictures of what it's like out there.
Yeah, I'm sure people will.
Yeah.
Now, one of the dentistry trips that they took involved a lot of problems, didn't it? Because the equipment was taken from them.
Yes.
And it resulted in, I think it was 3 or 4 days of negotiations to get that equipment back.
Yes.
Because they didn't understand really what you were doing. And
we red tape in Morocco is very, it's very difficult to get the right licenses. Yeah. We've done it, as I said, quite a few years, but because the trip is now very big, we've got suction units, drills, we've got dental chairs, we've got a lot of equipment that we take through now. And it had fallen down a little bit where we'd got the licence from Rabat, but the customs, we hadn't been given a slip of paper. And when we got to customs and they checked our stuff, they had to confiscate all our equipment until we got this paper. So the rest of the Mavericks carried on with their trek, and myself and Domin had to stay in Tangiers port for 2.5 days, literally in the port, to go through all the government offices and speak to customs and get the right paperwork from it, because otherwise we couldn't carry on. So that was quite an eye-opener, because you think everything's set in stone, and then one thing goes wrong, and you're really not going to...
It's like a set of dominoes going down.
It is. And I think really with the system there, if someone sees the problem, they have to own it. So therefore it's their responsibility, and then all the way down the chain, they then have to then report back to the right people. So there's no authority. They're not going to let you through.
No.
So there's no grey areas. It's you're either going or you're not. If you don't have the paper, you stay in.
Right.
So it's a bit scary.
Just a bit. How many children have been attended to since 2010? Do you know?
Yes, we've tracked just over 500 children, and we started our first year one on 56, and then it's gone over and over and over from there.
From there,
yeah.
And just some pictures on the screen as well.
Yes,
of the young children.
Yeah,
their happy, smiling faces because the toothache's gone.
Yeah, and the great thing is that obviously because we go back to the same project each year, the children we see as well back again, and we see them children grow, and we see, and this is the Sunderland football shirts, which Michael Oliver did an amnesty in Sunderland and asked everyone to bring their old shirts in, and we gave them out, and so it's painted red and white is Morocco with Sunderland shirts. Yeah.
And I'm sure the adults are thinking, oh, I wish they'd do that for us.
Yeah, we did take some adult ones, we did give some ones out, and then when we went back the second year, they were still wearing them from the first year, so it was great. Yeah,
because I don't think people really realise in countries like that dentistry really isn't one of the top priorities. It's getting your daily food, getting your daily water, and like we were discussing before, looking after the animals because they're looking after you.
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. So it's not, and also accessibility as well. This year in September, we're working with a new charity called RIFCOM, and we're going right up into the mountains, at the moment we're in a fishing village, but we're going right up into the mountains, which is even more impoverished. And we're looking at treating a new project this year, which I think is going to be a completely different experience to what we've done so far, which we're all looking forward to as well.
And what does that involve?
It's basically we're working with an association right up in the Rift Mountains, and we're then getting together probably children who maybe in a small village schools come to maybe a project that RIFCOM work with young children, and they set up schools and education. So we're going on working with them as an association to work on one of their projects, but do the dental hygiene and extractions and so on for that project. Yeah. And I think we'll leave a legacy there because we've got an inroad with RIFCOM to keep communication going and keep the oral hygiene going. Yeah. So that's really what we're looking for, is to leave a legacy and to get that oral hygiene working for the children.
Okay, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Callie.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.